Hey everyone, thank you for coming back. Or are you a new subscriber? Do I get any of those? If I do, let me know in the chat. I'm really curious to see if I get new subscribers. Anyway, I still don't have a webcam, unfortunately. I'll try to fix that issue soon so I can show skin. In the meantime, you can look at the pretty pictures from Mental Health in Focus. Okay, so this is not Jezebel we're talking about. This is a website where trained psychologists get to share their political ideology masquerading as medicine. And I'm saying this because I finished med school and I haven't learned anything about this garbage. This is coming exclusively from the United States. It's not something that Asia is pushing. It's not something that the Middle East is pushing. It's not something that Eastern Europe is pushing. It is a cancer that has infected most of the English-speaking world. So it's not scientific, and I'll show you why it's not scientific. The reason is that it's not using the scientific theory. It's coming to ideological conclusions, not based in reality. And when you look at the title, Defining and Addressing Toxic Masculinity, and then you show me a picture of a black gentleman, I mean, I will say that's kind of spicy. That is making me feel uncomfortable, lady. That is a little bit yikes to my taste. You know, it's going to require a trigger warning for me to read this racist article. But, okay, fine. Toxic masculinity is sometimes called harmful masculinity. Now, take into account, again, this is a trained psychologist that is saying this. All right, this is health issues. It's healthline. If you are suffering from toxic masculinity, you need medical help. I wonder if the insurance covers it. Like, do you need pill? Do you need medication? If I need training to get rid of my toxic masculinity, is the insurance going to cover it? Hopefully it will in the future. I mean, I don't want to suffer from something without treatment, right? What if it's expensive? So, toxic masculinity is a catch-all term for the behavior of men and masculine folks. Stop behaving like a man, bigot. Okay? Like, behave like, I don't know, a non-man. Whatever that may be. Well, we're not in a binary system anymore, right? So you can behave like a demi-queer fox, just not a man. Behaving like a man is horrible. It is evil. It is harmful, but not only for others, but also for yourself, as we're going to learn. In reality, though, there's plenty of room for someone to be masculine without being toxic or engaging in behavior that's dangerous or hurtful. What if I want to be an asshole? In a free society, in a just society, in a democracy, can I be an asshole? No, you can't. It's unhealthy. It is unhealthy. It is dangerous or hurtful. Like, what type of hurt? Are we talking about sticks and stones, or are we talking about mean words? Because sticks and stones are tolerable. You know, you get a bruise, but then it heals. But words, they hurt your soul. And they never heal. Like, once your soul is hurt, it's going to stay there forever. What does the phrase actually mean? Generally, toxic masculinity is an adherence to the limiting and potentially dangerous. Okay, so it's not dangerous, but it's potentially dangerous. It might be. It might be dangerous. So if it might be, we should take it off the table. Anything that might be should not be on the table in a free and just society. So before we unpack... Oh, and by the way, like look at this. Also masculine identifying people. So if you're a transgender, if you're a woman transitioning to be a man, you may also suffer from toxic masculinity. That's a big brain take. I never heard it before. But take into account, okay? All you ladies in the chat transitioning, you should not suffer from toxic masculinity. It's unhealthy, all right? It's hurtful. You can hurt me. You can hurt me if you're toxic masculine. So, like, be careful. Before we unpack, it's important to understand that masculinity is not inherently bad or toxic. The same goes for men and male identifying people. All right, so this psychologist gets to define what type of men are acceptable and what type of men aren't acceptable. Brilliant. Absolutely. I love this. All right. I'm sure there's a lot of science behind this. By the way, if you're into critical race theory, can you be hurtful to other people? Like, what about toxic critical race theory? I think we need to coin this as a toxic critical race theory. Toxic anti-racism. Like, you can be anti-racist and it's fine, but you can also be the toxic variety. Like, we need to segregate between toxicity and not. Right? Like, if you're the type of person that's advocating for, I don't know, Like that mayor in Chicago saying that she's not going to interview with white people anymore and she's getting sued for it. I think that's toxic anti-racism. Like, you can be anti-racist without being toxic. My God, I need a license in psychology now. Like, how do I get my ideology to stick? Do I need to publish a book in a peer-reviewed journal? Because I can do that if I put my mind to it. Okay, I mean, I finished med school, I finished law school. I'm pretty sure I can finish psychology if I want. 4 years I finished psychology, then I publish it in a paper, it becomes fact. Well, what would the fact checkers at Politico say? But anyway, right, this is why I'm mocking this. And like, all jokes aside, this is why I'm mocking this, and this is why you get to notice that this is not something you can work with. And this is something akin to an ideology rather than, doctors trying to actually identify things that are harmful for patients in order to treat them. No, like that, they're trying to push an ideology. So the first thing is like the word toxic masculinity, right? It's in the word, implying that it's something bad, that it's something that's not okay, it's not good. Okay, so by the definition, it's bad, and then you get like a couple of things which represent toxic masculinity: mental and physical toughness, aggression, stoicism or not displaying emotions, heterosexism or discrimination against people who aren't heterosexual, self-sufficiency, and emotional insensitivity. So the problem with this is that it comes in a package. You can't pick and choose, okay? Like, all of these things are toxic masculinity. But some of these things are good and some of these things are bad. For example, being self-sufficient is not a negative trait. And I wouldn't even say that it's something that only men should benefit from self-sufficiency. Being self-sufficient doesn't mean that you can't be generous or kind to others. Like, if I look at the farmer who lives on a farm and is self-sufficient, he's got enough to feed his own family, he doesn't need to rely on others, like minimum reliance on others. That is toxic masculinity, right? So that means that the farmer is also suffering from discriminating against people who aren't heterosexual. Like, this is a negative thing. You shouldn't discriminate against people who aren't heterosexual. Right? So, why is it that you put something that's negative, like discrimination, next to something that is positive, which is self-sufficiency? There is absolutely nothing wrong with being self-sufficient. And I wouldn't say that it's even a man trait. Like, if I were to have a daughter, I would want her at one point to be self-sufficient. This is a Romanian way of thinking. Like, if the daughter goes to the father and goes like, Daddy, I want to go to psychology school. Or I want to go to journalist university. You know what the father says? God damn it, woman. As long as you're under my house, you will go to STEM. You will learn to be an engineer. You will learn to be a proper doctor so that you can earn money, earn a living, and you become self-sufficient, because I don't want you to be a parasite on my household until you're old. There are already 10 bajillion psychologists out there. They don't even know what to publish. They're starting to publish horseshit because they ran out of ideas. They're not being paid. Okay? The economy cannot integrate the high number of psychologists that are already in circulation. You go there and you become a mathematician. You become something respectable, a proper profession that can guarantee to you a wage so that you can buy your own house and raise your own family away from me. Because when I grow old, I will need to rely on you just like you relied on me when you were young. Okay, that is the Romanian way. And it's applied both to men and women. It's gender abolishing, as they say. And by the way, if you look at the statistics, Romania has the smallest gender pay gap in the European Union. And feminism doesn't even compute on the radar for most people here. Like, most of them haven't even heard about the patriarchy and rape culture and toxic masculinity. Like, without mentioning these things, Romania has a very small gender pay gap. Do you know how we manage? You impoverish the nation. That's how you manage. You impoverish the nation and very little reliance on the state. I mean, sure, yeah, we have welfare programs. I think, like, if you're unemployed and you want to benefit from welfare, you get something like $20 a month. You know, good luck living with that. So a lot of people are desperate. They're like, okay, I want my kid to be able to have a job so that they don't have to rely on the family anymore, so that they can be independent. Apparently, that's toxic masculinity thinking. No, you should be dependent. Like, you should always be dependent. You should be weak. But you know, like there's a lot of things here, and I'll probably cover it on a live stream because it's absolutely ridiculous. And again, like this is the bait and switch that they always do. The Bot and Bailey is set up here, right? They add a couple of things that are negative or sound negative, and they put them among positive things, and then they brand the whole package as negative. So the whole package is toxic masculinity. You can't pick and choose. And they put things like self-sufficiency, which are positive traits, next to things that are negative traits. So that if you say there's nothing wrong with being toxic masculine, they will say, oh, why do you want to discriminate against people who aren't heterosexual, right? Why are you a bigot? And if you say, I'm not toxic masculine, yes, you are. You value self-sufficiency, right? So that's how it goes. That's how they do this little bait. This it has nothing to do with science. Like, if something is not pathological, like self-sufficiency is not a negative trait, why are you considering it as if it's a negative trait? And then aggression. Why is aggression a bad thing? Okay, if you have a criminal, like let's say something that no one disagrees, that person should be taken care of, a school shooter, right? How do you stop it? Well, a police officer is going to have to display aggression in order to take him out before he injures innocent people, right? Is aggression not a good thing in that situation? What if I'm out at the picnic with my family and a vicious dog attacks me and my family, right? What do I do in that situation? I don't think you can reason with the animal if it wants to bite you. I don't think you can, have a dialogue with Fido in that situation. No, like what you need to do in the heat of the moment is to position yourself between you and your family, right? Toxic masculinity there. And then try to dissuade the dog from attacking by any means necessary. But that requires aggression, which apparently is bad. You shouldn't be aggressive. But let it sink in that I need to come here with a squeaky voice in order to talk about masculinity. I mean, you have psychologists that are literally telling people how not to be masculine, to the point where you have women complaining that they can't find a guy they like because all the guys they find lack masculinity. So now you have celebrities. I mean, get this, because this is absolutely ridiculous. All right? You get celebrities who want a man that's toxic, but they can't say toxic masculinity. So now they invented the new word for toxic masculinity, which is big dick energy. So they want a man with big dick energy. But if you look at what they want, it's just toxic masculinity. That's exactly what they want. And you know why? Because your father probably had toxic masculinity, which is what aroused your mother. Your grandfather probably had toxic masculinity, which aroused your grandmother. I mean, the reason men behave is not that society, this ambiguous notion, makes men behave this way. It's like, no, men behave in a way that A, they're comfortable with, and B, that attracts women. Because if you behave in a way that doesn't attract women, then you're going to end up being alone, and every human being desires companionship, and as such, you're going to have to change in a way to be acceptable by the opposite gender. I mean, for example, right? A lot of teenagers, when they have their hormones raging, they look at the booba. Like they see another girl in front of them and they start to drool, they slobber, they look at the booba. And then you find out that if you do that, women are disgusted by that behavior. They don't really appreciate it. Right? They want to make eye contact. They want to see that you can have a little bit of self-control, right? Even if the booba is in your face. Eh? So what ends up happening is that men change in order to behave in a way that women like, right? And women don't like perverts that are drooling from their lips whenever they look at them. And that's how women preference get to shape masculine behavior. Because when you're a teenager and you find a girl that you really like and she's very hot, but she doesn't like you back, right? So you're thinking, it's like, all right, well, why doesn't she like me back? Like, what is wrong with me? So you notice, oh, well, she likes this guy. Like, what does that guy have that I don't? What is his qualities? What are his traits? Oh, well, he's very funny. He's intelligent. He's, what was it? Self-independent, self-reliant. Eh? And you look around and you see that all the guys that have girls have certain traits in common. And then you're like, okay, so if I want girls to like me, maybe I should start having some of those traits. You know, maybe I should try and be more funny. Maybe I should try and be more charismatic. Maybe I should do this and that. And that's how life worked for thousands of years before the psychologists arrived. Like, people looked around them, noticed how the real world works without having to read bullshit from a journal. Anyway, right? Toxic masculinity, bad. Unless you're in China, like the Chinese government does want to encourage toxic masculinity. You know what? I'll go with China on this one. Yeah, I don't want to be accused of xenophobia. Like, I don't want to be accused of bigotry. No. I think the Chinese are right. I think they might be spot on when it comes to this issue. Not on everything, but on this issue, I think they're spot on. I'll take the Chinese government over the virgin Western psychologist every day. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section.